Okay. Well, thank you everybody for coming. So I'm just going to say a few words to begin with, and then we can just have a free conversation about what is. So yes, it's a little difficult. If you can just mute yourself if you are not. If you're not speaking, just mute yourself. I think Kelly, you might be. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. All there is this. There doesn't need to be anything else. There's just what is. What is really another way that it can be described is that all there is energy. This is energy. This is energy. This is energy as well. This is all energy. And what seems to happen, I say, it seems to happen because we can't say that something happens really because there's no time. So that happening always happens in time. It's always happening. But what seems to happen is that in human beings, there is a quality of contraction, a quality which everybody describes as myself, me. And that quality of contraction seems to go on until it doesn't. And in that quality of contraction, the world seems very strange in a certain sense. I mean, it's quite normal, but in from the perspective of natural reality, it's that quality is a little bit strange in the sense that there's a subject and an object. There's me and you. There's two things. There's always two separate aspects. And that is a complete distortion of the senses in a way. It's a complete illusion. But it's brought about by this quality of contraction, which we call the me, or me, the me state. I prefer to call it a me state. It's a state of contraction. And that state of contraction isn't permanent. It comes and goes. When you're fast asleep at night, there's no sense of that me state. That me state evaporates. When there's an extreme focus in something and a complete immersement in something, then once again, that me state is no longer there. And so during a day, during whatever, during a certain time, so to speak, seeming time, there can be an in and out of that me, or that contraction can become much more obvious or much less obvious. And so essentially the difficulty for humans, or the sense of difficulty for humans, is that quality of me seems to make a separation between everything, and that feels very unsatisfying and sometimes quite difficult and sometimes quite tense making. And so there's a constant searching that happens quite naturally. That quality of searching just happens completely naturally for a solution to the feeling of contraction, the feeling of a sense of separation. There's just a seeking for a solution. And that seeking for a solution just seems to go on and on. It seems to carry on and on and on until it doesn't. And when it doesn't, then there's a falling away of that illusion, and all that's left is this immediacy. All that's left is just this. There never needed to be anything else but this. And this also is that that me contraction. This is the me contracting. This is also the relaxation when there is no me contracting. It's always this. So what we can talk about, what we can express, is just perhaps a conversation which can happen between a quality where there is a sense of contraction and a quality where there's a sense of relaxation. That's all that a conversation that is going on in non-duality meetings is, simply a conversation like that. But in fact, all there is just this. All there is energy in whatever form that takes. Energy can take the form of a sense of contraction, and it can also be a free flow of energy. It doesn't have to be anything, and it can be everything. So yes, we can discuss this, we can speak around this, and anything is, we can talk about anything. There's nothing that's off limits here, because it's already everything. Meetings are just places where there's an openness to what is. That's all a meeting ever is. It's just it's a situation where we can express this, which in the world you will probably find that that is not such a common occurrence. Most of the time there isn't an interest in what is. There's a constant movement to reinstate this quality of contraction, because that's in a way the most common feeling. The most common feeling in the world is that sense of contraction. Anyway, any questions or no questions? Yes.
Hi, David.
Hi.
Don't have any questions, but I just wanted to say lovely intro, and we're so happy you're doing this.
Oh, thank you so much. No, it's such a such a pleasure. Yeah, it's very easy to talk about this, because I don't have to remember anything.
Couldn't get easier.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I'm just particularly struck today by how opposite this message is to most of the teachings, explorations, conversations about life.
Yeah.
Whether it's a deeply spiritual inquiry, or literally just how to get on with one's day. It never says it's this. It always says it's that. I'm really struck by that, you know, at the
Yes.
moment.
Yes. I mean, I think that's why it's a rare message. I mean, it's not really rare. It's actually everything, you know, everything of natural reality is already this. So it's actually already, it's the most common thing out there. But in another way, that for human beings, for conversations that human beings have, and the way that human beings relate to each other, and you know, just talk and express things, it is very rare. Yeah, because it's a way of there's an openness in a meeting which is very different to what seems to go on. Yeah. There's not really an interest in what is. You know, you can't really talk to people about immediacy. I mean, it's not a very long conversation, is it? You know, you can't really have long conversations happen because there's a lot of story. There's a story, there's a continuity. You know, this happened, then this happened, then this happened. You know, it's like, and then there's a lot to say. You know, you can write books about things like that. I've tried. You know.
I think another thing that's been coming up for me recently is that you know, I find myself in the story, right, living in a world where actually it's full of manipulation and domination. And now, I'm not normally like this, right? This is not normally the sort of thing I would talk about, is being, you know, having all the advertising gurus doing all these things so to manipulate us to buy things. And you know, that's not normally the sort of, I'm not a bit political or anything. I don't normally have points of view around those things, but what I was thinking today, I was thinking as you were speaking, it's like, this is one of the reasons that this message, it's not just that there is nothing to find and no one to find it. It's like, it's not saleable.
Yeah.
It's not saleable.
Yeah. It's not. No,
It's
nothing to sell, nothing to buy. You know, it's not. Yeah, I mean, it's because it's not a thing. It's already everything. So you can't then. What would you take? What would you sell? You know,
you can't.
Yeah.
I was thinking, you know, you can't exploit the absence of seeking, because it's the seeking that is exploited.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm just having these weird thoughts about that today, and it was just like, yeah, this is beautifully, simply unexploitable.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, it is.
yeah,
It's uncorruptible, if you like. Yeah. Because it's just utterly simple, isn't it? I mean, you know, aliveness. How do you put that in a bottle? You know, it's just aliveness. All there is the aliveness. And it's all just completely unknowable. That's the thing. It's there isn't anything that's known or knowable. people think that they know a lot of things, you know, and this message can't really come from anything that is known, you know. So this doesn't know anything, and then is trying to, you know, offer that knowledge. This is just a complete, you know, it's like a big question mark. It's not really, it doesn't, there's not really a sense of knowing anything.
Mm.
And this is also not significant. This, you know, the speaker is not significant. You know, if I got out of the way and you started to just talk to that, it would still be exactly the same you know, as it wouldn't make any difference in one sense. This isn't a significant thing here. There isn't anything that is significant, you know, in that sense, in that, you know, this is an unconditional neutrality. It's a quality which is already everything. So there can't be something that sort of stands out and is separate. That would then make it real, right? So when something is separate and stands out, and we can kind of identify it and say, oh, that's known. You know, that's what the contraction, that's the quality of the worlds that is formed by that contractive state, or the worlds that is believed by that, through that contractive, those contractive rose-tinted spectacles, if you like. Is that world where everything is separate and known and real. So there is nothing real. There is no possibility of things being real or unreal. There's no not knowing. You can't know it. It just slips through your fingers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mm.
Hi, David.
Hi, Sima. Nice to see you.
Hi, Summer. Nice to meet you. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, pleasure. Yeah.
I love what you just said. I've heard it talked about, like, or I've heard it. I've heard it said, like, falling asleep. Like, how could you induce falling asleep?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I guess this is maybe me trying to make it something, but it seems like there could be impediments to falling asleep. Like, there could be, like, it seems like there are conditions in which falling asleep is more likely to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this is me making it conditional, I know, but like, if I'm standing up, I'm not going to fall asleep, most likely.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
In that sense, is it, like, not a great metaphor, or do you feel like certain things are?
You're trying to, I mean, what the me's longing to do is to find conditions, of course, to kind of, the difficulty is that anything that's then, let's say you find the conditions, okay, then all that happens is that you find those conditions, and the me then tries to use those conditions to create a situation where it will then eliminate itself, which clearly is something that it's not going to allow to happen. So the point being is that anything that the me latches onto, adds more tension, if you like, adds more contraction to the pile that is just about something falling away.
Yeah,
You know,
I guess it'll take anything. It's like a
yeah, it'll
succubus.
take anything. It'll take anything and try to, you know, make it into something, make it into a method, make it into whatever. So let's say you're talking about, I can't fall asleep standing up. You know, well, maybe, I mean, how do you know?
But it's more difficult too.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, you know, there's plenty of people that have, you know, been standing up and been knocked out by something, somebody or something. It's possible that's something that you know is out of your, you know, it's never going to be a kind of a situation where the conditions are right for me, because or anything that is kind of thought about and considered is going to be brought into that known field, you know, that sense of I know. You know, it's impossible. This is impossible to grasp. And the sense of that impossibility becomes more and more desperate in a certain way, I would say. It becomes something which is like, oh, there's no way out. I can't create conditions. I can't find the solution. And in a certain sense, that's that hopelessness is what this is. This is hopeless for that me state. This is completely hopeless for that contraction.
Right. I feel like I hear it and I don't hear it. It's like two things happening at the same time. It's funny. Yeah. It's funny.
Well, something hears. Something hears something. It's okay. Something hears this, you know, something is drawn to this message.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
and has been
and then
for a
something
while.
is also kind of going, no, you know, I don't want to hear that. Yeah. So there's
well, thank you, David.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. No, thank you.
It's nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too. Yeah. I mean, hopeless for me, you know, I should perhaps say that he's just hopeless for me. That contraction can't get anywhere. Yeah, that's the point. It can't find its way out. But there's another thing about that, which is that quality of contraction. It makes it too much of a to say that it doesn't want this and it doesn't want that, kind of turns it into something. All it is contractive energy. It's just a contraction. It's just energy like this, right? Energy like this just it does what it does. It's a mechanism. It does what it does, and part of what it does is just try to hold on. Try to hold on. So anything that goes on seems to be that there's a holding on. You know, holding on, and that creates thoughts which are about holding on. There's holding on thoughts, contractive thoughts, thoughts that are about contraction, thoughts that are about holding on, thoughts that are about keeping going, thoughts that are about strategizing to find a way out of this whilst keeping going. There's always that seems to be happening. And then that just falls away. It just runs out of energy. All of the scheming and the planning and the trying to work it out and the thinking about, you know, am I, you know, is this real or is this unreal? Is this empty or full? Is this nothing? You know, all of those questions, it just runs out of energy.
But David, just that the seeing objects is basically just a confirmation of the subject, the sense of separation.
Yeah.
So
seeing a separate object, yeah, this is separate from me. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's a confirmation of separation.
Yeah.
So, well, basically, what happened when me drops away? Are there still the objects in the way you see them as subject point of view?
Yeah. I mean, the best description that I can give is that you lose yourself in things. The me, the me is lost in everything. Objects are alive. There's an aliveness to them, which is missed when that sort of contractive field is there. It's missed. So it's a sort of wonder, a quality of wonder, and I think that we had that as children. You know, I like that word wonder. I think it's a great word because it's a quality. You know, I mean, Andreas uses that timeless wonder. It's exactly that. It's a wonder. The word wonder is just undescribable, and yet there's something alive about it and open about it, and there's the quality of the quality is like that. It's no longer questioned. Is this an object? That's the point. Is that there's sort of like when before there's sort of there's a subject and an object. It's clear, and you know that I'm looking at an object. You're kind of that's known. It's clear. I know that, and then afterwards there's no question about is there a subject or not. It's just completely irrelevant. A lot of these things just become completely irrelevant.
Yeah. Does it have any substance?
Well, I mean, if you're saying, is this like hard or whatever it is, if I describe something, I will describe it in a very similar way that you would describe something. Yeah. It would be that. It would be a very similar description. Yeah. It's not saying that, everything's, invisible or I don't know, or there's, it's not. It's not something which is distortion of the senses or something like that. But what it is that there isn't anybody looking. There's nothing looking. So there's not something that's interfering in what is. That's possibly the best way of saying it. There's nothing between, like checking up on it all. Kind of investigating or observing something, all of that kind of stuff. There's not that sort of like, everything is like a fly on the wall documentary. It's like everything is being watched, That sort of doesn't happen. Yeah, it's just
asking that because I mean we all got the sort of glimpses through all our search with this. And I remember there was one the situation was exactly the same,
Yeah.
but nothing behind it.
Yes. Yes.
And it's a strange way of formulating it, but it was exactly the same,
Yeah.
but there was nothing behind it.
Yes.
And I can't really explain what I meant by that, but
Yes.
that's why I come to that question
Yeah.
about the substance of things.
Yes. Well, I mean, it fundamentally, all there is nothing apparently happening. There's just there is just
Yeah, that's,
you know, it is to use Tony's a beautiful phrase. You know, that is it is nothing
and everything. Yeah,
and everything at the same time. Yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, I think that perhaps what you're saying, and you know, correct me if I'm wrong, is that there's something where there's a quality there where there's nothing looking.
Exactly. Yeah.
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 And when there's nothing looking, then you could say there's nothing behind it. There's
Yeah,
nothing behind everything.
it's
Yeah.
it's difficult to formulate it.
Yeah, no, but I totally understand.
It's not common language in that sense.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I totally get that. Yeah.
Thank you, David.
Thank you. No, thank you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I like what you said about you know, the oh, can't remember how you put it now. Mine's gone blank, which is probably a good thing. You know, it's like the questions are seeking the blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah, trying to know, and then it's just I
Yeah.
think you talked. I think the energy of it just
Yeah.
gives up or is
Yeah. Yeah.
something.
Yeah. That's what that's the way I put it. Seems to do that. It seems to just run out. It just runs out of energy. It's like a car, you know, that runs out of fuel. You can't go anywhere with that. It just stops. You know, it's like, you know, you're driving to a destination and then you just run out of fuel. What are you going to do? You know, so yeah, it felt, you know, it's a little like that. Yeah.
That's what it was like over there.
That's what it was like here. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Because it's, and I mean, it can just turn off, you know, that's another way that energy can just fall out of something. It can just completely just turn off. And there's some which just sort of fade out, and there's a sort of, but there is an end, you know. There's at the final point, there's just an end. You know, the car eventually stops. So yeah, it's like that, but it's got nothing to do with anybody. You see that? It's just a perfectly sort of natural process. It's not really a process, but it's perfectly natural. It's just, you know, we see that all the time in nature. You know, a leaf falling off a tree, where whatever. You know, it's just something that just falls away.
That makes a lot of this.
And there's nothing there. There's nothing for you to do. Of course. I mean, you in a certain sense, the me is the thing that's actually keeps going and, keeps, seeming to travel, but it's,
I mean, there's that, that coming to meetings, trying to understand, trying to get something, trying to hear, and then that's just like,
Well, that's why you think that you're coming to meetings. I mean, that's why the me thinks that it's coming to me. The me thinks it's coming to meetings to get somewhere. And then there's another quality which is just magnetic. It just draws you in. You don't know why you're there. So you find yourself at a meeting again after you've said to yourself, I'm not going to come to these damn meetings anymore. And you just find yourself in the same damn situation that you were. It's magnetic. It's energetic, however you want to describe it. But it's a pull. It's a pull. It's not something that there's anything. Nobody decides anything. There is nobody to decide anything, actually. But there's a quality of contraction there that believes that there is, that believes that I am deciding everything, that I am going to fix this, I am going to sort this out, I am going to, I'm going to, I know what to do. I'm going to follow this, and this, and then that's going to work. But yeah. Unfortunately not.
Yeah. Thank you.
Or fortunately not. Yeah, Verena said that it's home already. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Jade, yeah, please unmute us. Yeah, great, thank you.
Hello,
Hi, Jade. Hi, how are you?
very good.
Good.
Thank you, David, for the meeting.
Ah, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm very lucky to speak to you all the time.
Sorry, can you say that again?
I'm very lucky to speak to you.
Oh, I'm very lucky to speak to you. That's yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. It you mentioned the pool. The pool. I can feel the pool.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's energetic way of feeling.
Everything is energy. So there's a sense of a draw towards meetings. I think that a lot of people have. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's very different from other interactions that we have in the world, right? I mean, everybody in the world is really about making the me very important, and here there's a possibility of the me being really totally impotent in a certain quality, and they're just simply being what is. So this kind of conversation is very different, and there's something very attractive about that, especially for that sort of especially for those me's that are very tired, exhausted me's tend to kind of circle around these meetings.
Yes, I like openness.
It's an openness, yeah. It totally, yeah.
Yeah. So I appreciate your meeting.
You say that once more. Sorry, it just can't hit somehow the
I
microphone.
appreciate your meeting.
Oh, it's such a pleasure, and thank you so much for coming and speaking. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's different from other tradition non-dual talk.
Yes, I mean the main difference is really that with this message, it's not coming from a drive of any kind, because there's no teaching, there's nothing to teach. So I think a lot of the time with traditional Advaita Vedanta and this kind of thing, there's all of that I've never come across, let's say, that message which isn't a form of teaching, which isn't in a way a sort of instruction. Even if it's a very hidden instruction, it's still an instruction, and that means that there's a student and a teacher. There's one that knows, there's one that doesn't know, and here there's none of that. There's just this. That's all we're talking about. Just this already, already what is. So how could you possibly teach that? It's absolutely crazy. It's the end of teaching, really. This message is really the end of teaching.
Yes. So at this point, meaning the conversation.
Yeah.
Do you know the conversation going on?
Do I know the conversation going on?
Do you know you are speaking now?
There's nobody that knows anything. So there's there's nothing here that knows about anything. It's just what happens. Speaking happens, response happens to a question. So there isn't anything there as well. There just might be a sense, a quality there that believes that it knows that it's speaking. It truly has that sense that it's you, that you are speaking. I am speaking. But actually, I think there's also there a questioning of that. There's a questioning of whether you know that you're speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the questioning, yes. Confuses.
Yes. Yes, it's not quite as clear as you thought it might be, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. But this sense, knowing maybe I'm speaking, but there's a question about it.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other level, I don't actually know what I'm talking or what I want to talk about.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Sometimes this sense of a person talking is stronger, but at this point it's bearable. Sometimes it's unbearable.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as I was saying at the beginning, that sense of contraction changes. Sometimes it can be very subtle. There's a subtle separation.
Yeah.
And sometimes there can be a very profound, obvious separation, feeling of separation. Yeah. It's not an absolute state. It's just state. Yeah. It is a state. It's the only state, actually. The me state is the only state that there is. Outside of that, there's just this.
So the me has down to this sense now. Just being reduced down to the sense.
Okay, well, that's nice.
Yeah, it's been long time coming to this point.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of
seems
struggle.
Like that, yeah. It seems a long. It's funny, isn't it? It seems like a long time, but yeah, time is a funny thing. It's not really as real as again. It's not real. Yeah, but it does seem. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you so much.
Hi, David. Hello.
Hi, Kieran.
Hello. Yeah, so I think I sort of touched on this at the weekend because it was obviously Tony's meeting.
Mhm.
But it was interesting because I was staying with friends who haven't really come across non-duality and this sort of like way of communicating. So it was just interesting to get that perspective, and I was being asked questions. So then it made me rethink. It just got me thinking again, and yeah. But one of the things that they said, it's like, well, like this, the speaker, Tony, whoever it is, like how, like they're suspicious of anyone who's like coming in with an absolute message, or even saying that this is coming from nothing. Because I was trying to get that across. They're trying to, but to them, that's still some sort of it's still saying to somebody, like, or saying to people, there's nothing here. And so it gives an excuse to sort of like, do you know what do you sort of get what I'm getting at?
Well, yeah, I think so. I think that you're saying that they don't feel that, well, I mean, what would be their ideal? I mean, this is the question, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
in a way, that me contraction tries to find an ideal picture of what a pure expression of this is.
Yeah.
You like?
Yeah.
So, I mean, would a pure expression be somebody just not saying anything?
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, I don't know what that would look like, because there isn't such a thing as something that is a pure expression. It's just completely a sort of fantasy of the contraction of me that wants to make something, wants to make this into something.
Yeah. I guess it's because they were like, oh, how was your day? How was the meeting? And I was like, yeah, it was really good. I like fell asleep for like half an hour, 45 minutes. And then they're like, what? Like, yeah. And then they don't quite, that's why the questioning about.
I think it's it's great when people fall asleep, as I've said before. I think it's, wow, because it's the me is such an energy which is just so exhaustative. It's so exhausting. So when there is that sort of, I don't know, there's a quality in a meeting where there can just be, there's nothing to do. There's nothing to nowhere to get. And actually then the body just kind of can relax, can rest. I think that's great. I like that. But I mean, I did that a lot, so but yeah, I mean, that's, traditionally, that isn't a good lesson, is it, really? If you're falling asleep in class, that's not you can't have learned anything, which is exactly right,
Yeah, exactly.
So it's completely opposite. It's totally opposite, and that's why it's so. That's exactly the point. Is that in the worlds, seeming world of this message is really not useful. It's not getting anywhere. And it should be, in a certain sense, that teachings get somewhere, even if it's a teaching where there's a person doing absolutely nothing. There can be a total intention behind that person saying nothing. If this was doing nothing intentionally, it would be a teaching.
Yeah.
But this is just free. It's just a free expression. It's not really limited to anything. You know, it's just openness. All we're here is describing the nature of what is.
Mm.
It's not really doing anything else, and there's no, you know, I mean, anybody can talk, you know. I'm just talking, that's all.
Yeah. 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 Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know whether that did that
No,
that
yeah, no, it
touch
does. It does.
Okay.
Exactly that. It's like what are they expect? Like, what is anyone expecting from a meeting? Do
yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like we've got an idea of like,
Yeah.
and that's just it. That's hit the nail on the head. It's like, well, it's just different to what someone might expect, but
That is ultimately, you know, as you know,
yeah,
the ultimately that is the normality of it. It is different to what you know, because it's not spectacular. It's absolutely normal. It's normal aliveness. Aliveness is normal.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Jade.
So, Daisy, I would like to ask about self-inquiry
Yeah.
as a way of effectiveness of self-inquiry in a way that whenever I see thoughts coming up and I ask myself who is the one seeing those thoughts, this type of self-inquiry, how is that effective?
Well, I mean, you can answer that. I mean, it's self-inquiry is a kind of a game, which is me and myself, 1, 2. So it's dualism. It is in a certain sense a process of seeking. You know, it's seeking an answer. So I mean, yes, I know that the idea is that you seek and seek and seek and seek until you can't find an answer. And then, you know, but the problem about that is that that whole ideology, that whole process of going, of you know, asking and finding nothing and asking and finding nothing and all of that, you know, the whole ideology is going somewhere. It's trying to get somewhere. And the whole nature of that vehicle that's trying to get somewhere is me. So unfortunately, any kind of method, including self-inquiry, is a way which actually reinforces, in a certain sense, it reinforces, or it just gives energy to the me state. The me can't do anything about this because the me is just a state. It's just a state of contraction. That's all it is. It's a phenomena. It's a phenomena. It's a state of contraction. So it can't. It has got no power. It's got no ability to resolve itself or to die, to kill itself in a way. So it's got no ability to do that. So ultimately, what happens is that the energy of all of those questions, of all of the self-inquiry, of all of the energy that's driving towards an answer, that energy just falls away by itself. It just falls away. When there is no possible, when every possible place has been looked and checked and you've tried everything under the sun, then it can even just wait for something to happen. But whatever it is, whatever the strategy is not going to work. And in the end, that whole thing just becomes extremely exhausting, and the whole thing just exhausts itself and falls away. Or it just suddenly falls away. You know, who knows? There's no absolute way that seems to happen. But it's in the end, the energy just drops out by itself. You're already dying. Nothing to do without trying. This has got nothing to do with effort. Zero to do with effort, you know, absolute zero. There's nothing to do with effort whatsoever. There's no efforting involved in this. You can't be worthy of there's no worthiness, you know. There are some people that walk into Tony's meetings without him saying anything, there's just a complete collapse. And there are some people who stay there for, you know, 18, 20 years and nothing, you know, there's, you know, very little seems to happen. There's no method.
I agree. Yeah, I was finding it useless. Self-inquiry didn't do the trick.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I used to do that as well. I used to be very interested in Douglas Harding, particularly Douglas Harding and other people. And it's you know, lovely expressions, but yeah, it's the same thing.
Mm. And indirect experience.
Yeah.
Can't find anyone. I can't find anyone.
Yes. Well, that would be the case. Yes, you wouldn't be able to find anyone. Yeah.
But the phenomenon of this still goes on.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. You can't find anyone in the self-inquiry, but the contraction is still there.
Yeah.
So that's the ultimately, yeah, that's the difficulty. It doesn't resolve the sense of separation.
And like at this point, it doesn't feel like it needs to go anywhere, but it is just it's so much. Sometimes it just feels like it's nothing being bothered.
Yeah. Just to sort of can't be bothered with. You just, yeah. I understand that. I do understand that. Yeah, I feel it just becomes very tiring, you know. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Jay. Thank you so much.
Hi, David.
Hi. Who am I supposed to?
I'm Nancy.
Nancy, yes. Sorry. Hi, Nancy. Hi.
Hi. Thank you so much for this meeting. It's wonderful to see you and hear you speak. Something I've really been noticing. There's been a lot going on here, and apparently in this life, and I lost my husband just over a month ago.
Oh, I'm sorry. To
And so there's been a whole lot of sadness and grief here. And something I noticed was that I would be so overwhelmed. I still am at times overwhelmed with grief.
Mhm.
But then there would be, the making of my coffee or the feeding the cats or, and what I guess what I'm sort of noticing now, well, I think I've always had this. It's sort of been maybe more of a concept before, but um but but because everything has lost its meaning for me, there's just that nothing means anything anymore. And there's this realization that, there are times throughout the day and I guess throughout a lifetime that there is no there's so that we don't notice how all along throughout the day there is it's empty. There is no me. There is no and it's something we don't notice. And the thing that I've also noticed is that the me or the mind, whatever, wants to make a story out of all of this.
Yes.
So it wants to say that, okay, because we'll take my situation as an example, the grief that I feel, the mind wants to make a story out of that and just say, this grief started whenever it started, and it's just, been continuing, and it makes a whole story out of this thing. And it's not a story, because grief happens in the moment and it happens anew. It's never the same. Nothing is ever the same in any moment. And it's just the mind, that the trick of the mind, I guess, that just wants to put it all together, string it all together in a timeline, and just
it becomes my grief.
Yes. And it becomes my psychological problems that happen because when I was a child, this happened or that happened,
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's just
all of the griefs tend to be tied together. They're all strung together by me. So when you're actually grieving, let's say there's this process of grief for your husband, but actually it connects to all of the grief of your life, all of the grief of that person's, the belief of my life. The story of my life.
I hadn't really strung that grief together with childhood. I was just using that as an example of how we can go through life thinking that I have this issue or whatever because of something that happened before. And it's the same with the grief, but I just lost what I was going to say there. It's just that none of this is none of this is a running timeline. I mean, none of it is just, it's.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. There's no continuity. Yeah.
That's it. Continuity. There's no continuity in anything. It's just whatever is occurring in this moment. If it's grief, if it's fear of speaking, if it's not being able to express myself adequately.
Oh, brilliantly. No,
it's all those
you said very
things.
well. No, thank you. No, it's exactly what I think a lot of people experience, that, my grief, my story. And in a way, what that does is to magnify the grief 100-fold. The grief is the grief is grief. There is no doubt about what that is. That is grief.
Yes.
And that goes on until it doesn't.
Yes.
And
you're right, and you're right, where it magnifies or reinforces that which doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying grief doesn't exist, because certainly I have experienced it,
Oh,
and it
yeah.
does exist.
Yeah.
But it exists it's existing now, and it's existing again now, and it's, and it's not. And
yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's no continuity to anything.
Yes, totally. Yeah. I mean,
it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Actually,
it is. Yes. The lack of continuity, yes, I mean, it's one of these things where people that I don't know whether you've seen that, but there can be a situation where somebody has died, and and somebody is in grief, and then they can forget about it for a minute. They can forget, and then they're laughing at something.
Of course.
And very often there's a difficulty with that. They feel bad about it. Oh God, I shouldn't be laughing. I'm in grief. So it's like, it's something where there's a belief that, I have to be in that story of being somebody who is grief stricken,
Yeah.
But grief is transient as well. Grief is also transient. And
grief is not felt the same in any moment, and it wouldn't be felt the same by everyone.
No.
I mean, everyone is different, and in that respect.
Yeah.
And my husband was a joker. He was always joking. Mm-hmm. So I can be laughing and crying in the same moment.
Yeah, there you go.
Because I remember his, the way he was, and the way he joked, and it's an amazing thing. It
is, yeah. It is beautiful. Yes, amazing.
Yeah.
The power of the energy of grief is something,
Yes, it's raw, and it's now, and it's
exactly. Yeah. And it's just a fully it's a fully embodied expression, and it comes and then it dies.
Yes. Thank you so much, David.
Thank you very much. And on that note, beautiful grief of Nancy. Yeah, I just would like to thank you all very much for coming, and all my friends are here, Chitu and Kieran and Peter and all of these people that I've known for a long time. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Gabriella, for hosting with me.
Thank you so much, David.
And thank you all of you guys for coming, and lovely to talk with you, and yeah, happy to see you all. Yeah, I will let you know when I've got another one coming.
Thanks, David.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Very
Bye.
helpful.
Take care of
Bye,
yourselves.
Bye.
Bye.
Gabriella. Bye.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you.